All right, I have the honor of introducing our next inductee, Phonse Brenna. Phonse, as he's affectionately known, and other names, Necktie, as some people knew him way back. Phonse was born in 1952 and grew up on Atlantic Street, the son of Sylvain and Violet Brenna. He was part of a family of 8 boys and 4 girls. Like many of the kids of that time, Phonse played in all neighborhood sports, depending on the season, including baseball, soccer, road hockey, pond hockey, you name it. Phonse honed the tricks of the athletic trade very early in his life. Speaking to a few of his early friends and neighbors who played in the neighborhood with Phonse at that time, a couple of them said, we should have had 2 soccer balls or 2 pucks because none of us would get the puck or ball from Phonse. He honed the skills, as I said. Phonse began playing organized sport with Little League Baseball and with Babe Ruth. His first stint into a more organized league outside New Waterford was with the New Waterford Gulls, coached by Bernie Corbett. They were part of a 10-team Cape Breton Intermediate Fastball League. Phonse expressed great appreciation for Bernie, who not only coached, but did all the other managerial and organizational activities for the team. Fundraising, lining the field, doing it all. A couple of years later, Phonse began playing for the New Waterford Hawks, who were coached by Tate Springhall, who was not only Phonse's coach, but became a near and dear friend as time went on. The Hawks had several names along the way, the High Five Hawks, the Gaitan Hawks, and they won in the mid-70s back-to-back provincial intermediate D titles. Phonse was third baseman on those teams, and he was captain for the Hawks during this period and was their leading hitter in the provincial tournament. Phonse continued playing fastball for several more years and was selected MVP on several occasions for the league. Tates decided to move on, and fastball pretty much ended up in 1986 for Phonse. Phonse then moved on to baseball in 1987. He just softball to hardball. Bozo Steele organized the New Waterford Dodgers, and they played as part of the Richmond County Baseball League. This was a thriving league that was underway for many years and produced several provincial championships and all-stars. Not long after joining the league, the New Waterford Dodgers had some very successful seasons, winning the league, and then culminated with a provincial and maritime title. Phonse again was an instrumental part of the team. He was third baseman, and again, captain on the championship team. When you think how Phonse was able to transition from close to 10 years of fastball, then on to baseball, and win a maritime title within a couple of years, this is really something else for a skill set. It also speaks to the leadership of Coach Bozo Steele, Captain Phonse, and a team that was made of many former fastball players. Phonse was a great hitter. He was the leadoff man, and as you can imagine, he'd get on base many, many times, and he was getting the second base regardless. He's either stealing it or somebody was laying down a bunt and away he went. And of course, next thing you know, he was crossing the plate. Everybody talked about how dynamic Phonse was. So speaking up to this point, fastball and baseball were major accomplishments, provincial championships. To say Phonse was highly talented and a multi-sports athlete would be putting it mildly. He not only participated, but was a valuable member and captain of these teams. And you're going to hear that theme as I go on and on here tonight. So we'll talk a little bit now about Phonse's soccer background and accomplishments in that sport. He was a member of the Cape Breton Midget Soccer League, which he cited as his first participation in organized soccer, which I didn't know existed. He went on to play school soccer at Mount Carmel Junior Senior High School. He began playing for the high school soccer team in grade 8 at Mount Carmel. Phonse played until grade 12, captaining the team for the last couple of years. Lost a tough provincial championship to Dartmouth High on penalty kicks in 1969. I had the pleasure and opportunity to be a teammate of Phonse's for several years at Mount Carmel. He was our captain and our leader and also our leading scorer. And I can honestly say back then it was a lot of kick and run, hit the goalie, knock him down, try to score a goal. There wasn't a whole lot of finesse. It was hard running and gunning. But Phonse was ahead of his time. If you look at the World Cup and you look at kids playing today, the skill set they had, Phonse was the few guys back then in the early 70s who had that ability to deke, to go around a guy, pass, give and go, that kind of stuff. The rest of us were just trying to watch him and find out where he was going so we could get in an open spot because he was so far ahead of the rest of us with his talent and skill at that time. Phonse moved on to Beck and was captain of the 1972 Beck Boys Provincial Championship team. Again, captain, and that's not the last time you're going to hear me say that tonight. Phonse would take soccer, of course, to another level. Nova Scotia was preparing for the 1973 Canada Summer Games in Burnaby, British Columbia. A provincial tournament was set up, including all regions of the province, to select players for the Nova Scotia Canada Games team. I had the opportunity to coach the Cape Breton team against Halifax Metro, Valley, Truro, and other areas of the province. We played in the Valley and lost a real tough game to them in the final. Good news, we lost. The good news after the loss, of course, was that Phonse and Sandy Burns were selected to play for Team Nova Scotia at the Canada Games. Phonse says it certainly was an honor to represent your province. The whole entire Canada Games experience was one he would never forget. They went to Halifax weekly to practice and play exhibition games. So it was indoors all winter and spring. Then they traveled to Bermuda on an exhibition tour in a lead up to the Canada Games. Phonse scored the first goal for Team Nova Scotia against Bermuda. This was the first outdoor game they played after practicing side all winter. Phonse was coached by the likes of Tony Richards and Ron Buckley, who were Dalhousie coaches at that time, with Dr. John Pooley being the selection coach. And anybody knows anything about Pooley, he later went on to be involved with the national program. He was the guy who selected Phonse for the team. Another person of note was Hugh Townsend. Hugh Townsend was the editor, sports editor at the Halifax Herald at that time, and I think many in the room would remember Hugh Townsend and many of the great articles he wrote. He went out to BC to follow the Canada Games, and I quote from Hugh in the Herald article. When the Nova Scotia contingent moved west for the Summer Games, little thought was given to the province's chances of striking gold in soccer. But when the team won its first two matches via the shutout course, hopes began to rise that the squad might pull off a major upset and challenge the soccer powers for a medal. When the medal dreams died in the wake of a tough 1-0 defeat, not a single member of the Nova Scotia club had to hang his head low. The team played well. It deserved a better fate. Even without a medal, the province's soccer representatives could boast of having two of the finest players perform at the Mercer Field. Kevin Mayo, an 18-year-old from Center Lunenburg County, and Phonse Brenna, a 20-year-old and Waterford athlete, were two of the top soccer stars in the week's competition. So he wasn't just a member of the team, he was rated as one of the top two players for the Nova Scotia team. He went on to speak about Mayo a little bit, then he said, yeah. He spoke a little bit about Mayo in the article, and then he went on to say, Brenna, meanwhile, has been playing soccer in Cape Breton for the past 6 years. One of two Cape Bretoners on the team here, the other Sandy Burns, also in Waterford. Brenna has played the sport with the Breton Education Centre. Lack of leagues have also been a drawback to soccer in Cape Breton in that area, he says. But this summer a league is operating and further growth in the sport should come to that part of the province. A thrill came early at the Canada Games for Brenna. He scored the team's first goal in the interprovincial competition, again scoring all the goals. What a moment. It was really something, but the big thing that helped us win the game. Townsend continued that Phonse was a versatile athlete. He played center in intermediate hockey circles and third base for intermediate baseball and softball teams. Like Mayo, he's impressed with what he has seen here. They're better off for soccer facilities than we are at home, he explained. Maybe things will improve soon. One thing appears certain, with players like Kevin Mayo and Phonse Brenna learning the sport, soccer is bound to grow and prosper in Nova Scotia. Quite a tribute from Hugh Townsend. Phonse continued playing summer and senior soccer and was a member of the 1972-73 provincial champions YCS Strands, who won the Nova Scotia Challenge Cup, which was the highest level of competition in the province. It's called Division I now. Phonse and fellow inductee tonight, Mike Kennedy, were co-captains of that championship team, and Phonse was our leading scorer, and after that championship year, he continued to play for a couple more summers. I will conclude with the soccer side of things with another quote by John Pooley. He wrote to Phonse and said, "I was impressed with your level of skill together with your overall approach to playing. You demonstrated determination and consistency. I think that says it all." Hockey. Phonse's hockey talents and skill are well known throughout Cape Breton and indeed across the province of Nova Scotia. He began playing midget hockey in the Waterford. He practiced in the Glace Bay Forum before we had a rink here in Waterford. He told me they also practiced outdoors at the Scotchtown rink and out along the old Sydney Highway. He said wherever Gradwick Sween could find a sheet of ice, they practiced on it outdoors. He was a member of the 1968 midget team which won the provincial title. Again, captain of the team and leading scorer. He played hockey at Beck the first year in its existence. He then moved on to play intermediate hockey for several years. In '74, yes, he captained the Waterford team to provincial intermediate D title. In the championship game, the Waterford won 7-5 over Hubbards. Phonse had 5 goals and 1 assist. Not a bad day at the rink, what? 5-1. Phonse continued to play several more years of intermediate and senior hockey. Phonse has won provincial championships in fastball, baseball, soccer, and hockey, and maritime titles. He said he met many wonderful coaches, teammates, and lifetime friends along the way. Many people I spoke to in preparing for this evening spoke not only of his athletic skills and talents, but also his sense of humor. He was really a fun guy to hang out with. And they also used to talk about his size. And you talk about size and stature. Size was never a detriment to Phonse, obviously, with all the talents and everything I've said to you tonight. Stature, he rose to the occasion big time. So size, stature, he's monumental. And the other thing I would like to say is, one of the last conversations I had with a good friend, Mike Kennedy, he said he was on the soccer team with Phonse and the fastball team with Phonse, and he said pound for pound, he was probably the best athlete I played with and saw around New Waterford. Another great tribute to Phonse from Mike Kennedy. Folks, I read where Hall of Fame athletes should demonstrate leadership, dominance, consistency, longevity, an array of skills. They must demonstrate that wow factor and perform under pressure. And lastly, they should leave a legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Phonse has achieved all those wonderful characteristics. Phonse is married to his lovely wife, Marion, for 40 years. They have 2 children, Deborah Lynn and David, and a grandson, Jack, who recently just turned 1, and they are very proud of. I got to say, Marion, Phonse played all those sports season after season, year after year, and you were always there for him. Congratulations to you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the newest member of the Waterford District Sports Hall of Fame, Phonse Brenna. All right. Sorry, bud.
Great, buddy. Okay. The Reverend Duncan Roach, head table guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my family and I would like to thank the Sports Heritage Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me into the Hall of Fame. I'm honored to be a member of my hometown Hall of Fame. I would like to thank my wife, Marion, for her love and support over the years. Thanks, hon, I love you. I would like to thank my adult children, my daughter, Debbie, her husband, David Keefe, my son, David, his girlfriend, Lorette Poirier, and my grandson, Jack. I want to say thank you to you guys for your love and support. Love you guys. I would like to thank my brothers and sisters, my sisters Lorraine Williams and Betty Gillis, and my brothers Tony, Jerry, Sylvia, and Don. And I like you guys too. see. I would like to thank John and Joni and Art Timmons for the time and effort they put into the soccer program. I would like to thank the family of the late Bernie Corbett for the time and effort Bernie put in with the Waterford Gulls Intermediate D fastball team. I would like to thank Greg McSween, Paul Finn, Billy McMullen, and Jack Webb for the time and effort they put into the hockey program. I would like to thank the family of the late Raymond Bozo Steele for the time and effort Raymond Bozo put in with the Waterford Dodgers hardball team. I would like to say thank you to the family of the late Gerald Tate Springhall for the time and effort Tate's put in with the Hi-Fi Hawks fastball team. Let me see. Am I forgetting anybody? Just wondering if I'm forgetting anybody. Oh. Hello, boy, Jim. I think that's it, really. Oh, no, sorry about that. I want to congratulate the Strands basketball team that's being honored there tonight. To the players, coaches, and management, congratulations on the job well done. And to my fellow inductees, I'm honored to be going into the Hall of Fame with people and athletes of your caliber. Thank you. That's it.